I have a couple of things to share this morning. I'm probably going to do several videos, so watch out for the rest of them. My dreams last night, I still need to work through because they left me feeling very angry this morning, and it wasn't a really angry dream, so I have to kind of figure out why and where that comes from. But this morning, while I was scrolling through all of the videos that I typically look through in the morning, from the Schumann resonance to a bunch of cat videos my daughter sends me, I had this moment where everything dropped. I felt like my stomach dropped. I felt like I had, I'm trying to find a way to explain this. To me, in an instant, I felt like the floor fell out from underneath me. And I knew in my head, almost as if I was aware, that there was a sinkhole happening underneath the ground. And I suddenly had this vision of, trying to run as many people across the surface of an area as I could before the sinkhole dropped. Now, mind you, this whole time that I was doing this, I've kept feeling like the longer we wait, the bigger the sinkhole, the more tragedy will be. But then the shorter time means the less people we get across it. And I saw in my head what reminded me of the Devil's Bridge in Sedona, where you could see this big hole just forming underneath the ground, and the sides are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually it's going to become this just big empty space. And we're trying to get from one side to the other, as many people or as many things from one side to the other. It had a very similar energy to when I mentioned the Panama Canal and trying to get the boats across before a storm. It was a very similar kind of feeling, just different context. And it made me very uncomfortable. And I've tried making this video so many times already this morning, and I just still feel like I'm not getting across how it felt. It was as if I knew that this surface was not solid, and I knew what was happening underneath the ground, but nobody else knew. And that I was trying to get as many people from one side to the other. And I was aware that when the ground finally collapses, that it was going to be bad. And the longer I waited, the worse it was going to be. And think about that, like a little bit of ground eroding underneath, that ends up in a pothole. But a lot of ground underneath, that ends up with a sinkhole. And some sinkholes are really big. And the longer that we waited underneath, the worse, the deeper it was going to be. And this is a very strong energy around it. And again, like I want to say again, I made a video about the Panama Canal a while ago. And it's that same feeling of a race for time, a race for time. Let's try to get as much through as we can before something hits. It's a very similar thing to that. I'll make another video about my dream later, and I also have something else I want to share that I'll come up with later. But have fun with that one for now.